Welcome back. All right, so this is a topic that I've been discussing for a while now. So here's a video where I kind of put it together, talking about the front runners. There are others who had good rookie seasons. Shane Pinto comes to mind as a player who had a good rookie season. Probably not in the mix when it comes to the Calder Trophy. But I wanted to talk about the players who are most likely to get votes and just go over who I think the best players are. And what's interesting too is, and I talk about this a lot, that the best player in a rookie class isn't necessarily the one that ends up winning the Calder Trophy. The person at the top of the list right here is Maddie Veneers. Beniers is a very good player, but 5 years from now, could Wyatt Johnston be ahead of him? Yes. Could Owen Power be ahead of him on people's fantasy draft lists? Absolutely. But Beniers is considered kind of the front runner. So with Seattle this year in 80 games, 24 goals, 33 assists, 57 points. He averaged 17 minutes and 6 seconds of ice time during the regular season. What also works in Beniers' favor, Seattle made the playoffs, and Beniers is seen as a big catalyst as to why they made the playoffs. Also working in Beniers' favor is he gets the points. He also has a very smart two-way game. So there isn't really a reason to look at Beniers and say, well, but he doesn't do insert name of thing that he doesn't do that a Calder Trophy should. Calder Trophy winner should. The trophy itself does not skate and does not play. So, just like an FYI, just throwing that out there for new fans. Maddie Veneers, very likely to win it. And I think he probably does. But I'm wearing Coyotes because I'm a big Miceli fan. And I think that for Miceli, if he shot more, he'd be in the conversation. Also, he only played 64 games. He did get injured. 11 goals, 38 assists, 49 points. So in terms of points per game, he's right there. But the 11 goals, I think, will hold him back. The fact he played in Arizona, probably as well. People didn't see him as much as they might have seen Seattle while Seattle's going on this great run. Miceli played 15 minutes and 41 seconds of ice time on average. So he played less than Beniers. But his points per game, I mean, he played 16 less games and he had 8 less points. So, yeah, he likely would have been the number one scorer if he played all 82 games. So for Miceli, honestly, he would probably get my vote. I think that Arizona's got a good young team coming up there, and I know it may seem like, he just wants to pump their tires. No, I legit think that the Coyotes are building a pretty good young squad there. Then you have Mason McTavish. Now, McTavish, of course, a very highly regarded prospect, 80 games, 17 goals, 26 assists, 43 points. As a rookie this year, I thought he had a very good season for a very mediocre team to maybe a really poor team, depending on how you look at it. 15 minutes and 22 seconds average ice time per game. I think McTavish was really, really good for them. And again, the scoring is going to be more of a challenge in Anaheim than it would be in, say, Seattle this year. If McTavish had played in Seattle, would he have had 60-plus points? That is entirely possible. That is something that definitely makes a difference with this kind of thing, right? Then you have Wyatt Johnston. Johnston came on late and ends up playing all 82 games, 24 goals, 17 assists, 41 points, 15 minutes and 29 seconds of ice time on average. Now, for Johnston, he ties for the lead in goals with 24, right? So Wyatt Johnston ends up coming out of nowhere. When Dallas drafted him, it was seen as kind of a risk. Dallas clearly did their homework when they drafted him, and now he looks like he's going to be a top 6 forward for them for a long time. Jim Nill has made some questionable decisions over the years. His drafting has definitely helped to cover up for some of the errors he's made along the way. And Johnston is another example of that. So Johnston, I don't think wins it. I still think Beniers ends up being the top guy because 16 points less for Johnston. I don't see how Johnston ends up winning, but the 24 goals will acquire him some probably top 3 votes. And then there's Kent Johnson, and Kent Johnson's another example of a player on a team that had a really bad year, but he didn't have a bad year. He had a good year. 79 games, 16 goals, 24 assists, 40 points. He only played 14 minutes and 31 seconds per game. So his ice time was lower, and yet his points per game, not too bad. Johnson, I think, is going to be a 65, 70 point player. Maybe he ends up being a point per game player as well. There's a lot of potential there. And what impressed me with Johnson was this was a team that was dealing with tons of injuries, and he played well. He also avoided the injury bug mostly himself. He only missed 3 games this year. And so I think with Columbus, they've got a keeper with Johnson. If they do end up winning the draft lottery, and you've got Johnson there as well, they may be set for their top 6 for quite some time. Johnny Gaudreau, of course, didn't have the kind of season with Columbus they would have wanted, but who in Columbus did? I would say Johnson had a pretty good year. Again, 40 points may be underwhelming to some, but to me, I thought he played well. And then there's a couple of defensemen I wanted to throw on the board. First off, Owen Power. Owen Power deserves a lot of consideration. 79 games, 4 goals, 31 assists, 35 points. He played 23 minutes and 48 seconds per game for a much improved Buffalo Sabres team that was one of the last eliminated from the playoffs before we got into that round of 16 that starts things off. So Owen Power is a huge part of that blue line. And while Dahlin's going to get more attention than Power probably this season and next, that may change. Owen Power, really, really smart defenseman. Really impressed with him. What got me with Owen Power was when he made his debut with Buffalo, you couldn't tell he was a rookie. Played like a veteran, same as Jake Sanderson in Ottawa. So I do think Power probably gets some top 3 votes as well. He may end up getting a first place voter too. There may be a writer out there that says, I think Power had the most impressive rookie season. And there may be one that feels that way about Sanderson. So Sanderson played 78 games, 4 goals, 28 assists, 32 points. 21 minutes and 55 seconds average ice time. And again, an improving Ottawa team, a lot of good young players. Sanderson and Power are in very similar situations. Sanderson's overshadowed by Chabot. And I don't know how long he's going to be overshadowed by Chabot because I think Sanderson probably has a higher ceiling. And so, yeah, this is a really, I think, talented rookie class in general. And then you get into the goaltenders. Stuart Skinner, playing right now for the Edmonton Oilers, has given them competent goaltending in the playoffs. In 50 regular season games, 29-14-5 with a .914 save percentage and 1 shutout. What's interesting is this. You have Logan Thompson, who missed a lot of time with injury, played 37 games, a record of 21-13-3, .915 save percentage, and, all-star and all that, as was Skinner, I do believe. And so, 2 shutouts for Thompson. But what's really interesting is, when you get into who had a save percentage above 900 the most regularly, right? So we look at quality starts. Both of them had a save percentage above 900, 58.3% of the time. So very, very similar numbers. The difference, of course, being Skinner played more. I think it probably comes down to, I would say the top 3 probably end up being Beniers. I would think Skinner. It's tough. I want to say Johnson. It should be Power. I would think that if I'm ranking this, sure, why not? Why not? I've gone far enough down this rabbit hole. So I would say Beniers probably ends up finishing first. I would say Skinner probably ends up finishing second. I'll take that away from the front because it makes it look like I'm putting a minus here. So I would say I'll do it that way. 1, 2, and then for third, I'll say Power. I'll say Johnston ends up 4th in the vote. I'll say Miceli gets maybe 5th. I don't like Sanderson at 6th. Thompson at 7th because he missed time. McTavish at 8th seems kind of low, doesn't it? Yeah, this is tough. Just off the top of my head thinking, well, I can rank them. There you go. But let me know your thoughts. Which player you think is going to end up being A, who wins the Calder Trophy, and then B, who ends up being the best player out of this class. And it may even be somebody who's not on this board. Like I said, maybe Shane Pinto actually becomes that second line or third line center for Ottawa, who, gives them those key shutdown minutes. But that's the fun thing with rookies. Their career's just getting started. We don't know how it's going to end. And it is kind of fun with watching that journey along the way. So let me know your thoughts. And again, this was just kind of off the top of my head. Johnston probably ends up 4th. But then I look at it and think, will McTavish get more than... Would Miceli get more than Johnston? Would Sanderson get more? Anyways, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. I will be doing one of these for the Norris Trophy at some point as well. The Norris, of course, is always... it's one that we argue about a lot. I feel like of all the trophies, the Norris gets argued about the most. But we'll see if that's the case this year. Maybe it'll end up being the Calder. Because, again, there isn't that superstar player who is clearly above the rest of the class. Beniers, even though I'm saying he's the favorite, would I be entirely surprised if Skinner won? Not really. I think that with the Oilers and the run they've had and Skinner taking that starting job from Campbell, maybe he gets those first place votes as well. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.